this is a quick overview of two of the services that we provide. So we send out emails, and the body of the email has some analytics in there to help you identify something that might be happening new in a particular market. And then we also, in the email, we allow you to download an Excel file that you can go in and do deeper analysis. So on the Monday, you get the regulatory reports. This is for Alberta, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia. And things that we look at is kind of what's interesting that's going on out there. And one thing that when you look at Saskatchewan, we found something here that we've got the combination of the two big fertilizer companies, Potash and Agrium. So that's a little bit of current news. Analytics, things that we look at first, facilities, so facilities that somebody's going to be building for the first time. And then we've got some of the geolocations associated with it, so you can see that and see if it's in your market. We also look at first well licenses greater than September, so that somebody that hasn't taken a well license out in a while. And again, we have a reference to it. So here we've got Fleet Energy is a company that hasn't taken out a well license in a while. Usually takes about 90 days to bring that. So that's an opportunity for you to reach out to that particular company. And then you can go down, take a look at it. Maybe Kindersley's a secondary market you're looking at. There's that Agri and Potash. And then Rolling Hills would be an example. The next thing that we've got, first wells drilled since September. And again, we might be looking in your specific market and don't see anything specifically in your market there in Saskatchewan. And then the other thing that we look for is we say, okay, first time drilling since April, so new rigs that have kind of entered into a market. And we can go down again and kind of look at it. So here in Kindersley, we've got Lasso 6 Hawk Exploration. So some information that this rig hasn't worked in a while might be an indicator for you to go out and speak with somebody. We provide some visuals, just kind of what are our trends. So here's the well licenses, and this is for Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. So things are good. We've got a nice peak. We could see most of the well licenses came out last year, and then we flattened out here, and then what's happening on the facility side of it. And then we provide a visual graph, and I'm going to come down here. Here's well licenses, and this is actually for last week. And we segment it. So over here is all of them, the well licenses last week, but we break it down by geographic area. So if you happen to be specifically looking at Estevan, I can get a visual real quick. Here are the guys in Estevan that have taken out new well licenses. So intent that they're going to be drilling that. And then I can come down here and I can see who's actually spudded wells. And then it's the same thing. I can come into my market and say the guys that are actively drilling in the Estevan market, and here are the companies and what potentially may be the same, who's the most active, and this is over the last week. At the beginning of the email, you could see that there was the link. I can click that link, and when I select the link, I can now come into the full report. So I'll just back it out here a little bit. I was breaking it down a bit. As one of the filters that we have on the full report is to say, let's break it down by province. So I could say, hey, I only want to see Saskatchewan. Now I'm seeing all the Saskatchewan ones, and I can sort this A to Z and then take a look at, there's all my Estevan, there's all my Kindersley, Lloydminster, and Swift Current. In your particular market, if I was looking at Estevan, I might come in and say, okay, who are the guys in Estevan that happen to be drilling actively on or have new well licenses? So here are the companies, and then I can break them down in more detail on that side of it. The other report that we send out, or another report that we send out, is going to be the wells drilled report, the spud license report. Similar type of format. We're showing some information, that new rig information last week, a bit of geographic reference. So we see that new rig that entered into the Kindersley area, and then we can come down here quickly and take a look at Kindersley here and see that was Hawk Exploration. Give you a geographic reference. We can see the summary producers just starting to drill next week, or for the first time in a while. We don't have any in Saskatchewan, but we can take a look at who that is listed there. And then here's a geographic map that kind of shows me overall the different geographic areas and how many rigs are active in that area. And then I can look across and say Estevan, I've got here about 38 rigs that are currently active in that particular market. Or we can look at Kindersley, depending on what we want. We got about 20 rigs in that particular market. And then in Swift Current, we've got 12 rigs. Again, so that's just some information you can quickly scan down. You can click on that, go to the more detailed report, and then here is the rig report. So what I'll just back it out again. I was looking at Spartan. I could select all. Here I have my board field centers, just like I showed you before. If you're interested in Estevan, I can say OK, and then I can see the guys who've been drilling. And this happens to be the last 30 days. So we've got a good sample, and this gets refreshed every single week. So my example here is I could say, okay, here's all the guys that have been drilling in the last 30 days. I can come over, unselect this, come down, take a look, and say, okay, let's look at Spartan. So when we look at Spartan, we can see that they've been in the Estevan area, and then here are the rigs that they've been using on a regular basis in that particular area. And then some geographic reference. Again, I can now go back and kind of cross-reference it on the new well licenses, and then come over here and pick Spartan as well, and then drill down on it and say, here are the new well licenses for Spartan. So I can now go in there and take a look at that information. So that's an example of the two email services. We're going to show you kind of new well licenses. It's going to have wells drilled in there as well. But we got new well licenses, facilities, and wells drilled. And then we've got the attached file that allows you to drill down on it. And then we've got our rig one, which will allow you to come in and drill down again on wells spud. And we can take a look at, and it tells us which rigs they've been operating.